Sports Tourers are considered by many people to be the perfect type of bike. Good performance and the ability to cover thousands of miles without inflicting severe pain on the rider. But if you're willing to sacrifice some of that performance, then there's another style to consider, the big trail bikes. They're not as fast and they don't have the same precise handling as the Sports Tourers, but as far as touring ability goes, they're just as good. And this is the latest offering from Triumph, the new 900cc Tiger. 1992 the Tiger came out and it's remained more or less unchanged until this major update for 1999. As you'd expect with the Triumph triple cylinder motor, but now it's got the fuel injected unit from the T509, which gives you about 70 brake horsepower to play with. The most obvious update is of course the bodywork. New shaped tank, new shaped headlight fairing. It's much smoother now, smoother lines and more curvy, and I think a bit more pleasing to the eye than the old model. And it's supposed to have better wind protection because it's got a new windscreen, which as you can see is nearly vertical. So it's probably got all the aerodynamics of a London bus, but it does actually work. It is very, very good. On the road is where you start to notice the most significant improvement in the new Tiger. The handling is far superior to the old model, which suffered from the front end diving under only moderate braking. The use of new triple rake springs in the front forks seems to have cured the problem. The motor is a gem. It's super smooth even at low revs. There are no flat spots and no sudden rushes of power to catch you out. Just a nice smooth delivery of power right through to about 9,000 revs where it starts to tail off. The bike has that very noisy, very mechanical sound which is typical of a modern Triumph. It sounds as though it's going to explode beneath you. Very noisy engine, but it's not going to blow up. It's just the way they sound. That's what they like, Triumphs. A couple more modifications. The seat is now adjustable. You can move that from 840 up to 860 millimeters in height. But even on its lowest setting, this is still a very tall bike. If you buy a big trailer, quite simply, it's something that you will have to get used to. The dashboard is different to the old one. It's better equipped, much more neater, a bit more comprehensive. We've now got a fuel gauge, which is useful. Little clock down there, again, another handy thing to have. And that's important, I think, because that's the bit that you spend most of your time looking at when you're riding the bike. It's the bit that you see the most. So it's nice to have something that you can look down on, it's simple to read, and it's got a nice look of quality about it. The new Tiger is an easy bike to ride. It's fun to ride, and you feel totally in command. It's superb in busy town traffic. The high seat gives excellent visibility, and the big oval-shaped wing mirrors allow you to see more than just your elbows. Triumph has aimed this machine at the tour-minded rider, but unfortunately they've forgotten to put some decent padding in the seat. It's fine around town or even on the country lanes, but the numb bum syndrome does start to set in after about 70 miles on a motorway, which is not perfect if you're thinking about a European tour. Well, actually, I'm probably being a bit overcritical there because no way is it the worst seat in the world. It's still better than any sports bike, but it's a shame it's not a little bit more comfy because the rest of the bike really is so good. Now, Triumph have always been very big on aftermarket accessories, and the new Tiger is no exception, but accessories for Triumphs don't come cheap. You can buy for this a nice pair of purpose-designed panniers, colour-coded and very fancy, but they'll cost you £500. Yes, £500. If you've not got that much, you can spend £300, still a lot of money, on a nice top box. Now, that tells me that Triumph think that this bike is well suited to touring, otherwise they wouldn't make these bits and pieces for it. Fair enough, it is. It's well suited to touring. You can go a long way in a lot of comfort on one of these bikes. But why, oh why, if it can tour, has it not got a main stand? You see, if you do decide to load up with panniers and top box and sleeping bags and pots and pans and goodness knows what hanging off the back of it, and you go touring, it's very, very useful to be able to get your bike upright on a main stand, because when it's leaning over like this, you open this pannier down here, loaded with gear, and it all falls out all over the road. It's an absolute pain. It really is a nuisance. So please, Mr. Triumph, can we have a main stand as standard and not, as it is now, a £130 optional extra? So now you know what I think, but that's enough moaning for one day. Back to the bike. It's a great bike, great engine, good brakes, decent handling, nice looks, I think, and a very relaxed, comfortable riding position. It's not everybody's cup of tea, but if you like the motocross style, which it is, it's very similar to a motocross riding position. Hands up there, feet nicely forward, very relaxed. then the Tiger wouldn't be a bad choice. The on-the-road price for one of these is £7,400, which is only slightly dearer than Honda's new big trail bike, their new Varadero, but it's about £800 less than BMW's monster trailer, their 1100 GS. So that's the Tiger. Smashing bike. Good, fun bike to ride. In fact, you could say it's great. Tiger, do you get it? Oh well, perhaps I shouldn't have bothered.